people with real jobs.
Hello?
Self-employed people. Which do you want to be? This is Certifiably Unemployable. It's time to fire the boss and become self-employed. Maybe you need a push to get that business or side gig going that you've been dreaming about for years. And if you're an entrepreneur, you can listen to stories and get experience from people who've done it. Get ready to change your life. Broadcasting from the compound, this is Certifiably Unemployable, and this is Sean Dean.
Welcome to Certifiably Unemployable. I am your host, Sean Dean, and thank you once again for making us a part of your busy week. We are in 2021, folks, and we've got a lot going on. We've now entered a new decade. Is that what it is? Every 10 years is a decade. So I know everybody was saying that we were in a new decade at the beginning of 2020. We're like, well, really not quite yet. I guess it was, some people said we were, some people said we weren't. So I'm going to say we officially are because we have to be by now. So at any rate, welcome once again to Certifiably Unemployable. And today we're talking about the side hustle squared. That's our topic for today. And we'll get more into why it's the side hustle square. But our guest is Kaitlyn. She actually is the owner and creative director of South Street and Company. She started the company as a side hustle after helping her prior company, a local dermatology practice, double in size in just 2.5 years. Now, 5 years later, she and her team specialize in helping small to medium-sized businesses, service-based businesses, grow their reach online. Kaitlyn has been featured in many podcasts, publications, and her agency has won multiple awards for their marketing efforts. And today, she's going to specifically talk about the side hustle squared, but more importantly, she's going to give us some tips on how to gain more leads on LinkedIn. Welcome, Kaitlyns Story. Welcome to Certifiably Unemployable. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So we've got a lot going on as entrepreneurs all the time. And so first and foremost, before we dig into our tips and tricks and hear your brain at work, I want to understand how you started, what the whole side hustle squared is all about. And because everybody right now, that's, I think, one of the biggest topics really over the last couple of years has been, side gigs, the side hustle. What can I do to make an extra buck? What can I do to, bring more revenue and more money into our household? Mm-hmm. But people are realizing more and more that those side hustles are becoming a full-time income. So tell us your story.
Yeah. So I actually found my first job out of college on Craigslist, believe it or not. And it was for a local dermatologist, and they had never had anyone in marketing before. So the doctor in charge, who's also the owner, was kind of like, okay, here you go. Let's see what you can do. And of course, in school, I graduated in 2012. So this was when Facebook was just becoming a thing that you could get on if you weren't in college, and you could post and it would reach your entire audience, where of course, so many things have changed since then. And also there were no digital marketing classes. So I took everything that I learned and applied it. And the doctor told me, he said, okay, stay within these lanes. I don't want to do this, or this. Don't ask me, but anything else I'm open to trying. So I introduced them to digital marketing. I helped them rebrand the whole company in the first 6 months, new logo, slogan, colors, and website, and implemented social media marketing, email marketing, SEO, and blogging for the first time for them. So the other half of my business was going out kind of like a business development person, going out and meeting with doctors who did refer or who could refer to them. So I was going out, bringing sometimes wine, chocolate, just pens, and dropping them off to the offices and introducing myself and saying thank you. And over the course of the 2.5 years that I was there with the digital marketing and going and doing kind of the door-to-door marketing, I was able to help them double in size. So when I started with them, they had 10 offices. And when I left, they had 17 located in Central Florida and 3 out of state. So 20 total. And it took me, so I felt like I reached a plateau though. And that's where the side hustle squared comes in. So I felt like I reached a plateau and I applied for some jobs. Nothing really worked out. And then my parents growing up had always taught us to think about being an entrepreneur, working for yourself. It's going to be hard, but you can set how much you make, you can set your time frame, you can decide what you do and don't want to do.
Amen.
So I got my first client, and she had hired a company, and she was a family friend. She had hired a company, had no idea what they were doing for her, and was like, I just need to get people in to see me from offline. And so I helped her clean up her entire website, helped her with her SEO and social media. And that was in February 2014. It took me a year, but this is the part that you don't really hear about. It took me a year of waking up at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, working until 6:30, when getting ready for my full-time job, which was 8 to 5, then coming home, working until 11 o'clock at night, and then working all weekends too. So I would meet with anyone. They would, okay, 45 minutes away at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry. I just like hustled in order to build the trust in that people had in me so that they would feel comfortable referring me.
Okay. All right. So you made that schedule work. You know, you're like, I've got 2 hours here. I'm gonna cram 30 minutes there. I mean, you got to do what you got to do when you start a business. So you took your side hustle and then you made it more of a full-time career. So what programs, as far as, since we're really talking about marketing, or we're really talking about online representation, you know, one of the things that I first think about is, I know as a new entrepreneur, even as a seasoned entrepreneur, it really is very overwhelming, because, you know, you had mentioned something when you first got started. Somebody had never, you know, your dermatology office had never had a marketing department.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things, as self-employed entrepreneurs, they think, well, marketing will kind of come as it goes. I'm going to hand out some business cards. I'm going to reach out to my warm market. I'm going to do all the grassroots things and just hope it grows from there. And sometimes businesses have the opportunity where that's all they need. But in most cases, especially with the internet and everything online, with LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and all these different platforms, it really is so overwhelming. And thinking of bringing somebody in-house as a marketing specialist, you're like, well, how is that person going to have enough work, and how am I going to be able to justify to pay a salary? So it sounds to me like the missing piece to that puzzle would be to reach out to like an agency or somebody where essentially they're in-house, but they're not, right?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like he was very forward thinking in that, because he before had moved someone up from a front desk role into a marketing role, but had never had anyone that had any training or knowledge base on marketing. It was kind of like, hey, you're a good fit for doing this, so can you help me with these other things too? And they did a good job, but he wanted to be more targeted, and he had a goal too. So I don't think you can just hire someone green and just say, hey, while he did say, hey, take this and run with it, he said, I don't want to do this, or this, so don't bring that to me. But he was pretty open to other things. And I think that there's a lot of trust that goes into that, because I do feel like he trusted me a lot with his company. But I feel like also I was young, green, willing to like go and do all of the research, you know, start from the ground up. But for anyone who doesn't know, and the other thing too, is you have to manage that person. So, while I don't think he like managed me, like micromanaged, I had to go to him for permission on things. I had to do this, I had to do that. When you're working with an agency, I would say the difference is they're probably not all cases, but if you're getting someone out of school, like where I was, I did not know everything that a full agency knows, because they have people with more experience. They have a whole team. And for me, obviously it was just me. So I think it depends on where you are in your business and how much time you can dedicate to marketing. Because I do feel if you go with an agency, it's more hands off, which is what some people are looking for.
Well, that's a perfect example of just being an entrepreneur and starting your business. Obviously, the guy that brought you in marketing for his dermatology office, you know, as an entrepreneur, in many cases, we're visionaries. We see things forward for our business, but the resources that are available today weren't available then, you know, and things are so different now. And that's why having somebody that specializes in that, and you know, if you're a business owner, and especially someone like myself, where my strengths are building the relationships, getting out in front of people, you know, connecting with my clients, my expertise is not sitting behind a computer and understanding, you know, what the other people are thinking so they can, you know, be marketed to my business. That's not my strength.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so years ago, we had no option but to try to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
And now we have so many resources at our fingertips, and being able to have an agency, someone that we can essentially have as our in-house agency, but they're not in-house, but we
Mm-hmm.
tap into all their resources because they've got all the experience and they've got the team to support that. So what advice do you really give someone who's just starting out and they need something to start off with?
Yeah. So a business starting out should always do two things. Number one, you should start asking for Google reviews immediately. Don't wait to do that. If it's your first client and you did a really great job for them, shoot them an email and I'll tell you what to write. So in the subject line, call it rave review. And then in the body of the email, say, hi, client. Thank you so much for using me for X project. I really appreciated and loved working on your brand for us. I would really appreciate it if you could leave us a rave review on Google. Reviews like this help other clients like you find us online. And that's exactly what I send out to our clients, or a paraphrased version of that, but that's generally what I send out. And I think asking them personally, if you're just starting up, really makes an impact, because a lot of people, they check reviews before they make any decisions. So if you're a local business and you want to reach that local clientele, reviews matter. So you should always be asking for reviews. And the other thing that you should always be doing is keeping track of people's emails, because just because they're done with you doesn't mean that they can't refer you someone or use you in the future. So even if you're not ready to do an email marketing campaign, that's fine. Just have, like, I use FreshBooks as an example, and that's where I have all of my client emails. So it doesn't have to be fancy. You can do it through QuickBooks or, you know, wherever you send your invoices. But just keep those on hand. And then when you're ready, or when you hire that agency or marketing department, or decide to do emails on your own, download all those emails, upload them in there, and start keeping top of mind with your clientele, because they've already bought from you. They already like, know, and trust you. So there's a higher probability that they'll purchase from you again.
So now the Google review thing, that's something that I've been hearing more and more people right out of the gate. Hey, give me a Google review. I would imagine that helps with the search engine optimization. It helps when people go to search for your business, and you know that's why doing a Google review as opposed to a review on Facebook or something like that would be effective in that case, right?
Well, it helps with when you do come up. So coming up in the maps listings is based on proximity. So
Right.
where you're standing, and of course this always changes. So right now it's based off of proximity. So if you type in like roofer near me, it's going to pop up on the map listings, all of the roofers that have their location near you. But one thing that you need to be aware of, and every small business needs to be aware of, is if people are finding you online, and if you are a business, you should be online, but reputation matters, because I think the statistic was 87% of people who see an online review think of it as just as legitimate as getting a referral from a friend or a colleague. So people look at your reviews, they read through them, and it's also important to respond to them, whether they're positive or negative, because if they're negative, that gives you the opportunity to tell your side of the story. And a lot of times people understand when things go wrong, or, you know, I had a client and she was out on maternity leave, and she's a sole practitioner attorney. And she was out on maternity leave, and someone was so mad and left her a 1-star review because she couldn't help them that day. And she's like, I legitimately just had a baby. I'm on maternity leave and I can't help you. So she responded back to it. But of course, people read that and they're like, okay, this person may have been, you know, a little bit too forward with their review. But it's really important to manage your reputation online.
No, I agree with that, because a lot of times people will say too that if you get a negative review, just ignore it. Only focus on the positive, because you know the negative stuff, you know, people like to complain just to complain sometimes. And you know, just in that situation, you know, it's, you know, try to be a little understanding as a customer too. However,
Mhm.
that's people. We have to deal with that. So that's good advice. When when you were first getting started, I mean, what did you find as some of the biggest challenges? Because obviously you're a one person,
Mm-hmm.
you're a one person band.
Mm-hmm.
And so did you find ways to automate parts of your business? I mean, did you do anything like that?
Um, so in the beginning, no, because I'll tell you, you don't know what you don't know. And I learned real quick, there was a ton of things I had no idea about. And so first of all, I automated my invoicing. So we mostly work on recurring. So we do marketing for people on a monthly basis. So it's a monthly bill. So I streamlined all of that. And then probably 2 to 2.5 years into my business, I learned about Zapier, which is a connector application. And if anyone's listening to this and they don't know what it is, I was able to eliminate so much little admin task work and have our team focus on more higher level things. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by a connector application. So like I said, we use FreshBooks for accounting and I use MailChimp for email marketing.
Right.
So when I onboard a new client, they're automatically added to our MailChimp list and it sends them a welcome email. And then also I have to just tell you, because I like nerd out on this a little bit. I love automation, but when I onboard a client, I've automated it to do 23 additional tasks. 23. And that's not an exaggeration. And I'll give you an
Wow.
example of what that is, just so you can understand it. So when I add them to FreshBooks, it creates a new folder of their company's name in Google Drive. It adds them to our time tracking software. It adds a new project to Asana, which is our project management software. It also duplicates templates that we've created to streamline our processes. It sends me a couple of reminders. Hey, set up the kickoff meeting, make sure the invoicing is set up. So it does 23 of those tasks to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
And that's Zapier.
Yeah, their tagline is Zapier makes you happier, and I can 100% agree with that.
So it's spelled Zappier.
Zapier, one
Okay.
P.
All right.
Yeah.
That's how I
Mhm.
spelled it first on my little scratch pad. But then when you said Zapier makes you happier, I was like, oh, maybe it's spelled with two P's. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
No, I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So perfect. Um, and every one of those tasks that you mentioned, I mean, just think about how time consuming going on Google Drive, creating a folder, putting their name in it. You know, you simply put it into your invoicing program, and bam, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a great resource. So
Hmm.
let's talk about generating interaction, whether it be attraction marketing, just building relationships online. And I know
Hmm.
you've had a lot of success on Instagram,
Yeah.
which we can skim over that if you want. But mainly you wanted to talk today about LinkedIn. And one thing I wanted to see if you could mention is how do you know, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, which one of the social media networks is best for you? Should you
Hmm.
focus on all of them? Because I have noticed LinkedIn, you connect with a lot of professionals,
Hmm.
but is LinkedIn where you're going to find your consumer? So that's
Hmm.
why I think it's important for people to understand, what should you choose when you're out there doing your social media stuff.
Yeah. The answer is it depends on your business. So for me, we're business to business. So LinkedIn is a really amazing opportunity for me to connect with other business owners.
Right.
And so other clients, they don't, well, I'll give you an example. Even if I was marketing business to consumer, like we have a dog boarding company that's completely amazing to work with. And she's on LinkedIn because professionals are on LinkedIn doesn't mean they wouldn't board their dogs with her, because they trust her, because she's posting high quality content. They're posting really happy pictures of dogs, of course, the cute pictures. So it's someone that you would want to connect with. But not only that, it's an amazing opportunity to build relationships, because even if you connect with someone one time, they start seeing all of the posts that you create on a weekly or daily basis. And when they start interacting with your posts, then that could potentially reach their audience because it says, hey, someone that you follow liked this, maybe you'll like it too. So right now, I feel like a lot of people are underutilizing LinkedIn, and I feel like it's a little bit like the Wild Wild West, and everyone needs to jump on that train heading out there because it's going to change. But it's a huge opportunity for business owners because it could open you up to speaking engagements, podcasts like this one, finding and connecting with people, and also positioning yourself as a thought leader and an industry leader, which is at the end of the day why people will hire you, because you're an expert.
Well, I think LinkedIn has always been a little underrated because so many people don't really know about it. And, everybody's on Facebook, everybody does, and you got the latest, and which I believe for the most part, the younger generation has pushed and driven how social media is defined. And so that's a good point. So give us some advice on what we can do on LinkedIn to obtain more traffic and more people to see our content.
Well, LinkedIn just released it just released last year, LinkedIn Stories. So LinkedIn Stories are still fairly new, and that's the same thing as Instagram Stories. They're little snippets and they stay up for 24 hours. Then after that, they disappear. So utilizing that for little like quick things, like if you're at a coffee shop, meeting up with someone, taking like a quick selfie of that, or saying, hey, this is my work environment for the day, getting out and getting some creativity or, whatever caption you want to put with it. But also, I'll tell you my super secret LinkedIn strategy. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right, here it is. So I'm in the Orlando, Florida area, and we have what's called the Orlando Business Journal. They're all over the nation. So what I do is I subscribe for, I think, $100 a year. What I do each week is the OBJ short for Orlando Business Journal. Right. They put out a publication. So I go through that every week and connect with people and congratulate them for being featured in the OBJ. So it's a non-invasive way to congratulate them, but also I'm connecting with them too. So in that message, I say, hey, so-and-so, hey, Sean, congrats on being featured in the OBJ. I look forward to connecting, Kaitlyn. And a lot of people respond back and they thank me. They offer to get coffee. But not only that, they connect with me because I connected with them on a personal level and I congratulated them. And I've actually had a couple people say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Could you send me a screenshot? And I'm happy to send them a screenshot too. So I utilize that. And if you don't have the OBJ not the OBJ, but the business journal where you are, another thing I do is find local publications. So in Orlando, there's another one called I4 Business Magazine. And I go through that as well because that's a professional magazine. And I say, hey, congrats on being featured in the I4 magazine, I4 Business Magazine. I look forward to connecting. And then now those people who are, if they're in a magazine or a publication, most likely they're like really amazing people to connect with and they're thought leaders in their own industry. So I want to connect with them. And then all of a sudden, because I'm posting and because I'm engaging, now they're in my network and now they see all of my content.
That's great advice. I love it. That's a great tip. And I would imagine a lot of people are featured in magazines like that. They have no idea. So that's cool.
Yeah.
You're the one that can point that out, be like, oh, I had no idea. Thank you. And then you go, I'm all excited. I go home, show my wife, look, we were featured in this.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So, like Kaitlyn said, if you're not in Orlando, look at those business-minded publications, whether you're in Dallas, Detroit, New York, Washington, it doesn't really matter. For the most part, every major city has things like that. So as far as the business or the social media side for an online business or even a business that's offline getting online, is there any other advice that you would give them at the very beginning? Maybe they have zero budget allocated for marketing. What would be the little nugget you would give at this point?
Yeah. Well, before that, I want to tell them about where the squared comes in with the squared part too. Yeah. So, okay. So for everyone, the reason that I pitched naming this episode Side Hustle Squared is because I started my marketing agency as a side hustle. And then over the pandemic, the silver lining of this was I had extra time, of extra brain room to create another business that was actually born in 2015 when I started my marketing agency, but it's called Becoming a Local. And what I was able to do is build up some local Instagram accounts. To the two largest ones are just under 40,000 followers. And we built our website. It's at becomingalocal.com. And we're offering directory listings for local businesses. So my whole platform, both companies are built off of helping small businesses. So that's kind of where the Side Hustle Squared comes in, because I've been building up these Instagram accounts for the last 5 years. And I did it because when I graduated from the University of Central Florida and then moved to downtown Orlando, it was just a whole nother world. I went from college to, hey, you're a professional adult now, so look at all of the amazing things Orlando has to offer. So I wanted to just promote that and everything, all the incredible events and coffee shops and food places to go. And then I also utilized it to help cross promote my new marketing company. So kind of tying in your question of, if you're starting up, what do you do? Well, my idea was, let me see if I can focus on hyper local areas in Orlando, create that from the ground up. Now, it's taken 5 years to get. I have 5 accounts. One's around downtown Orlando, around Winter Park, around Thornton Park, around Tampa, and around Sarasota. So it's taken 5 years to build those up to where they are. The one that has the least has 19.2, I think, thousand followers. So it still has quite a bit. But I really think that you need to think outside of the box if you don't have a budget. And that for me, I found my first desk off of the side of the road. My first office was in the little second bedroom of my apartment. I mean, I literally side hustled it all of the way. And so I think you need to think outside of the box if you don't have a budget. And for me, that was creating these Instagram accounts that just started growing on their own and kind of took on a life of their own. But thinking differently, utilizing your time wisely, and knowing when to outsource, because having someone just part-time, or even outsourcing it to a VA, or having someone come in part-time to help you is really essential. And then I don't want to forget that I would definitely not be here without mentors and coaches, because that's something that I read in Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass. And she mentioned that sports teams have multiple coaches. So why are you trying to do business on your own when it has multiple different elements? You have your accounting, you have your finance, you have your sales, you have your marketing, and you have your business. So I would highly recommend the SBDC is nationwide, and they do business coaches for free. So that's where I first started. I got a free business coach, and he helped me so much. And then I got a business coach, a life coach, a sales coach, and now I have a coach that is doing what I want to do for this new company. So he's kind of teaching me what they did and giving me advice. So I think it's also really smart to know when you need help and when you've kind of reached your limit.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point. And the whole thing about coaches and mentors, I mean, that's always going to be a part of someone being an entrepreneur. And you'd be amazed when you start your business and being an entrepreneur. Number one, everybody's watching you one way or the other. People, whether they're competitors or people that are looking up to you, or the haters, whoever, everybody's always watching. And so I bring that up because you want to put your best foot forward, because you'd be amazed. And I'm sure it's happening a lot to you, Kaitlyn. You might not even realize it. How many people are looking at you as a mentor, and you don't even know you're mentoring. All you're doing is you're putting the best foot forward. You're leading by example, and you're being a positive entrepreneur. You're a successful woman, which is a whole different level of power, I feel, as an entrepreneur, because, I think there's a lot of guys in business, and, when you see the women out there making it happen, they just get a much higher level of respect. So you've got a lot of power there. So that's good. So I say that because no matter what you do, even if you don't have a budget and you don't do those things that you think you should as an entrepreneur, especially getting started, just putting your best foot forward. Mm-hmm. And it feels like that's what you did with this Side Hustle Squared. You didn't realize that when you were creating these networks, that down the road it was going to become a business. You had no idea. And all you were doing was your intent was to do positive things, build something that you felt was missing, something you needed internally, and all along now it's helping, and thousands of people are following it. So that's awesome. I think that's a huge lesson for so many entrepreneurs, because people are watching. You know, whether you want them to watch or not, they're watching, and you want them to watch, especially as an entrepreneur, you're doing good things. So did you want to touch any more about that particular subject, about people watching and how to put the best foot forward?
Yeah, I think it's also knowing who your audience is and just sharing those really high quality tips. So giving away a lot of free content is really huge too, because people start to trust you through that, and they start utilizing what you're putting out there. And I'll tell you, in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, is anyone even reading all of these blogs I'm posting and all of these social posts I'm putting out there? And I remember probably 6 to 8, maybe a year ago now, this other marketing agency that I know of, and they're amazing in town. They're a lot bigger than we are, and they've been around for a lot longer than we are. I ran into the owner of that marketing agency, and I hadn't really met him before, but I knew of him and I knew of the agency. And we met in an elevator, and he was like, oh, hey, you're Kaitlyn with South Street, right? And I was like, oh, you know who I am? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And he's like, yeah, I've heard of you guys. You do some great work. And literally those 2 sentences made my day. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much. That just meant a lot. And so I wouldn't also discount people who are in your industry, because the majority of my mentors are other marketing agencies that have helped me overcome things that they already went through, because they, are 10, 20, however many years in business.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, when stuff like that happens, it's almost like you're just like, all right, I don't have to do anything else today. I'm going to go home, just crack open a bottle of wine, and I'm good.
Yeah, dear everyone, I am done for the day. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Yes, I will see you tomorrow.
Yep, exactly.
That's
exactly.
Awesome. That's awesome. So let's before we wrap this up, before we wrap it up, I do want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about your agency, what you can do for the small business owner, what you can do for the beginner, what you can do for the veteran entrepreneur. This is your opportunity to let us know.
Yeah. So we specialize in helping small to medium-sized businesses who are service-based and want to reach a local clientele. So not just local to Orlando, but not a national reach. And for someone who's just starting up, we have blogs that we post every Tuesday. It has a ton of amazing resources in them. We also have a toolbox page on our website. Just go to southstreetmarketing.com. We have the programs that we recommend. Everything that we use is on there. We have e-courses, we have how-to videos, and we have free downloadables. The majority of them are free. And if it's not, it'll say, hey, this is paid. But for the entrepreneur that maybe wants to take their business to the next level or wants a little bit more direction, you can hire us as an agency, or I also offer coaching. So I do creative coaching to help agencies scale strategically like I did, or to help business owners scale as well. And then, of course, if anyone's looking to hyper target in the Orlando, Tampa, Sarasota areas, then check out becomingalocal.com, because the website is, I'm so proud of it. It's, just the silver lining of the pandemic was I had time to dedicate to it. And this is like a passion project. So I'm really excited about how it came out and looking forward to where it goes.
No, that's great, because Certifiably Unemployable was started during the pandemic, and it was 100% driven by passion, talked about for a long time.
Yeah.
Finally had a little bit of extra time, and my buddy's like, you know what, stop talking about it. Why don't you do it? I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So here we are. And I had an opportunity to meet fantastic entrepreneurs like yourself, who is right around the corner from me. I had no idea. So that's awesome. The other thing that Kaitlyn is offering is as you're listening to this, she's offering you a free 30-minute consultation where you have an opportunity to set some time aside with Kaitlyn, chat with her about your business, find out if it's a good fit. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is, just because an agency does A, B, and C, or a coach or a trainer, they do A, B, and C, and they might have great success for other people, that doesn't mean they're a good fit necessarily for everyone. And so I love the fact that Kaitlyn is offering you as a listener an opportunity to chat with her for 30 minutes to find out what's a good fit. Now, with that being said, I'm sure that there's always some nuggets and some free advice that can come out of that, even if they find that the agency or a long-term relationship is not going to be a fit for them at the current moment. That doesn't mean it's not going to change tomorrow, but there might be some things you can do for them, right?
Yeah, 100%. So if they're not ready to move forward, that's totally fine. You know, timing is everything, and I really believe in that. So keep up with us on social media. We're really active I'm personally active on my LinkedIn, so I'd love to connect with you. And then we're active as a company on Instagram mostly. So, and then also you can just reach out through us, to us through the website too.
Yeah, so we're going to put all the links for everything that Kaitlyn talked about. Don't forget to check out her toolbox on their website. Lots of cool tips, lots of cool resources. Also, her take her up on that 30-minute consultation, because one of the things I asked Kaitlyn before we even started with the show is as far as marketing budgets and things like that, people a lot of times automatically assume they can't afford marketing. Don't assume that. Allow yourself an opportunity to chat with Kaitlyn for 30 minutes. No obligation, just an opportunity to connect with her. If nothing else, you're enabling yourself to get another LinkedIn contact, and that's what it's all about, is building relationships. So Kaitlyn, we appreciate it. Anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up today's episode?
No, I just look forward to connecting with everyone and answering any questions. And even if I can't help you, hopefully you can utilize some of the resources from the website, and then kind of take your marketing to the next level from there.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. So if you want to reach out to Kaitlyn, you can also reach out to me. I can connect you with Kaitlyn, not a problem. Don't forget to leave your comments, like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time.
You've been listening to Certifiably Unemployable. Ready to fire the boss yet? You're on your way. Sean has been self-employed for over 20 years. So if that's something that you want to do, something you've been dreaming about for years, Sean has all the knowledge, good, bad, and indifferent. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Facebook and Instagram at Certifiably Unemployable. Find us on YouTube and at www.certifiablyunemployable.us.net.org and .info. Till next time, this is Certifiably Unemployable, signing off.